When Charlie had boarded the plane and returned to Orus Hill from Changbai Mountain, Wu's family was already going crazy in a hurry. The 8 heavenly kings rushed to Changbai Mountain overnight, just to rescue a father and son, but he did not expect them to go there and immediately lose contact. Ragnar made the phone calls over and over again, and the cell phone he used was almost out of power, but he still couldn't get through any cell phone. At this moment, his mobile phone suddenly received a call. The one who called him was the one who escaped from Changbai Mountain last night. He was still hiding in Changbai Mountain City at this time. He was planning to wait until the 8 great heavenly kings triumph and come back with the 8 great heavenly kings plane. He didn't expect that he hadn't waited for the 8 heavenly kings, but he had waited for an astonishing bad news. Just now, the local TV station of Changbai Mountain was broadcasting emergency news. The news said that an avalanche occurred at the foot of Changbai Mountain. The avalanche caused tens of thousands of tons of snow to vent down, breaking down the road into the mountain, and also 2 cars and 8 people were buried under the snow. Local rescuers used large-scale rescue equipment to dig out 8 unsightly bodies that had been hit by the snow. Upon hearing the news, he immediately thought of the 8 heavenly kings. Because he knew that the 8 heavenly kings drove 2 off-road vehicles into the mountain early this morning. That ghost place doesn't have many residents, and it's not a tourist attraction. The local residents are very poor and can't afford off-road vehicles at all. Tourists outside don't like to go to such remote places, so the roads there basically gets no traffic. When the locals want to come out, they all come out in horse-drawn carriages. There is no off-road vehicle. So he can almost conclude that the 8 people who died in the avalanche were the 8 heavenly kings. So, he immediately told Ragnar the news. After Ragnar got the news, his whole body was struck by lightning. It took him a long time to recover from the shock. Then he looked at his anxious father on the sickbed and said with a trembling, "Dad, my people just told me that there was an avalanche at the foot of Changbai Mountain. 2 cars and 8 people are involved in it. All 8 people have died. It is very likely that they are the 8 kings." Grandpa Wu suddenly seemed to hit his heart with a heavy hammer, coughing several times, and blurted out, "This is impossible. How could the 8 heavenly kings die in an avalanche? They are all masters." Ragnar sighed and asked, "Why don't I let my people go over and recognize a corpse, and check if it is right?" Elder Wu was stunned for a moment, then nodded and said, "If that's the case, take a look." Claire got up in the morning and felt a little surprised when he didn't see Charlie's shadow. She called Charlie and found that Charlie's phone could not get through, which made her feel a little strange. After more than 3 years of marriage, Charlie has never disappeared unexpectedly. She used to wake up in the morning and couldn't see him. He was either shopping for groceries or making breakfast. But now, he suddenly couldn't get in touch. Anxiously waiting until about 10 o'clock, Charlie still couldn't get through, and Claire began to feel a little worried. What she thought was that Charlie had been in close contact with many big people during the recent period, and helped many big people watch feng shui, and also took a lot of money from the big people, even this Thompson first-class villa. Before that, Claire had always been afraid that Charlie would have a thunderstorm, just like those thunderous financial products, and suddenly his reputation would go bankrupt. If his credibility really goes bankrupt, those big men will certainly not spare him lightly. Just when Claire was thinking about it, Charlie called. As soon as Claire answered the phone, she blurted out and asked, "Hey, Charlie, where have you been?" Charlie had just got off the plane at this time and was about to take a helicopter, so he said to Claire, "My wife, I showed a friend of feng shui this morning. Their feng shui is quite strange, so I can't use my mobile phone to radiate. Which affected the judgment of feng shui fortune, so I turned off the phone. Did you look at feng shui again?" Claire only felt that her head was so big, she blurted out, "Charlie, didn't we say it? Try not to show feng shui to others in the future." Charlie hurriedly said, "My wife, this time I am not helping those big people to watch feng shui, but to help a friend of my former welfare institution. He has had bad luck recently, so he asked me to come and have a look. I can take money from him, of course." Claire breathed a sigh of relief when she heard him say this, and asked, "Then when will you go home?" Charlie said, "I will be there in about 20 minutes and half an hour." Claire said in a convenient way, "That's good, I'll wait for you at home." Isaac's helicopter immediately carried Charlie, Orville and Liang to the city. When he was approaching Thompson's villa, Charlie said to Liang, "Liang, I will take the lawyer to Way's Pharmaceutical when I have time tomorrow. After we sign the contract, I will give you a good stomach medicine." Liang blurted out, "Mr. Wade, I have vowed to bow down to you in this life. You helped me take Way's Pharmaceuticals back. I am willing to hand all the shares of Way's Pharmaceuticals to Mr. Wade." Charlie waved his hand and said lightly, "I already said that I want 80% of Way's Pharmaceuticals. No matter how much it is, I won't want it, but no matter how little, I can't promise to give you the prescription and keep it for you. 20%. I will never let you suffer, so you don't want to tell me anything, just give me things like that." Liang's heart shuddered, and he hurriedly clasped his fists and said, "Liang would like to follow Mr. Wade's teachings.